Welcome to the Model Car Hobby Headquarters Unpodcast with your host, Luca C. Now here he is, Luca C. Well, hello, my fellow car modelers. How are you doing today? We have another guest here that you probably don't recognize because he won't ever show his face, but this guy right here, the Mile High Scale Modeler. And he's also one of my producers. You'll see him right at the bottom all the time, no matter how many producers I have, Brandon White. Brandon, thanks for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me, Luca. I appreciate it.
Oh, definitely. And I'll tell you, it was really cool you coming on and getting into the YouTube thing after, I mean, you and I have been talking for quite a long time, you know, over the internets, and you've been a big part of what I've been doing. I mean, you've been contributing to my channel, not just monetarily wise, but you've put a lot of input and suggestions that's helped me in a lot of things, which I'm super appreciative of. And then you're also now, you know, helping me with the Luca C. Model Car Hobby Headquarters Facebook group. And so, you know, we're pals, and you might possibly become a somewhat neighbor one day, I guess, moving down here to the Valley of the Sun. So in
the future, hopefully, if the world's align and stuff, but I'll definitely come out in the spring to hopefully see you, BG, and a lot of guys.
Oh yeah, we're looking forward.
You guys have in the club.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it a lot. That's going to be really cool. And the fact, you know, you're doing this, and then all of a sudden you start doing this this YouTube junk that we all are having a ball with. And I'm thought, well, heck yeah, you know, I already offered you to come on to the show. I offered all my producers are welcome too, but now definitely you have your own YouTube channel. Try that again. YouTube channel, and it's pretty good too. Actually, I like it.
Yeah, it's. I started doing YouTube. Well, I was watching you, Don Yo's, other guys that were producing good content. Paul Turley, Virgil over at Dr. Cranky's laboratory and stuff. And you know, Facebook is awesome, but sometimes it just gets kind of boring on some of the pages. And so for me, I wanted to kind of have more of a community in YouTube. Started it in 2020 when I got my first round of COVID, unfortunately, because I was asymptomatic. So I was just chilling at home for 2 weeks, doing nothing to do. Did a few quick videos, and then unfortunately stopped at that time because life changed and work and everything, and priorities came up. And then I think it was past November, I started doing it at 100% as much as I could. So it's been you just getting stuff on. Yeah, you just started pounding them out and actually learned to me some things I'm starting to use, where you're putting out these beautiful thumbnails like, hey, dude, you turned me on to that, what is it? Oh, Canva or something like that. Yeah. Canva.
Yeah. Wow. I've already started bringing that into some of my YouTube videos now. That was really cool, because boy, your thumbnails were fantastic looking. And then I'll watch the contact. What the heck? See if he is okay at it. And you got good talking voice. You're a really good modeler. You had great subject, and you had a lot to offer. And it was really pro right off the bat. I was impressed.
The biggest thing for me coming into YouTube was, you know, going eBay, Amazon, Facebook, these groups that have auctions, static auctions that sell these kits and stuff. You know, you're always looking for a specific part. You don't know which kit has it. And you go and find these kits like, oh, maybe this kit might have it. You go on YouTube, and you don't find any kit review for it. And so for me, you see a lot of the new kit reviews, all these new reviews for all these new releases every time they come out, but nothing for the older ones from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and even 90s. And so for me, I want to definitely have a lot of my portion of my YouTube channel to be about all the kits that I have that are older that people don't normally see. And if they're saying, you know, is that really worth $45? Well, to them, they can see everything that's in there, and they can make up their mind if what they're seeing the price for is worth it for them. As we know, the hobby, the prices fluctuate based upon collector prices and building prices and that kind of thing. So that was the really thing that kind of started me getting into YouTube and doing that, was the kit reviews, because I wasn't seeing a lot that I was looking for.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny. That was an exact view I had, and a couple of years ago I started my show, Lucas Kits, and I know you have put a lot of input, and there is a video I've wanted to do on a particular set of kits you want me to do it on. But, you know, my channel, I got into doing all this other stuff, and I really wasn't doing the Lucas kits so much anymore. And you've kind of picked that back up. And, you know, it was a good idea, and I was surprised nobody else had done it. And if we all have these, all these kits back here, that was my thinking, exactly what you said. There's a lot of guys who've never got any of these kits because hadn't been in as long as we have or whatever, but they're interested in a kit if it has something that they want. And that was the whole idea. So yeah, when I saw you were doing that, that was like awesome. It's a great, and it's something different. So that's a big part of doing this, is trying to come up with your own thing.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me was I was looking for a straight six for a Chevy with that Wayne valve cover, and I couldn't figure out what kit had those in it. And so I went and grabbed a few at a local hobby shop here, a few used ones, and bought them, and there it was, the one that I was looking for this whole entire time. So yeah, definitely happy to put out kit reviews for people that hope they're looking for something. They can say this kit has it, this kit doesn't, and then hopefully give them what they need, because I don't want to spend, you know, $100 on 4 kits when none of them have what I'm looking for and I didn't know.
Yeah.
So
excellent service. Yeah, that's a great idea. And it is, and you do it really well. I mean, everything is very, very watchable. So I definitely enjoyed it. And again, you were talking well. So how long, let's go way on the Wayback Machine.
All right.
Let's talk about what got you into models. When did you get into models, and that whole road story, whatnot?
So as a lot of people that know your show before, they started as a kid and it kind of left into other things. So for me, I started back in 97, 98. My grandfather, we'd go to a local hobby shop, RC Country out there in Sacramento, and buy a kit once in a while. And the kit that I actually remember the most building, which I actually have one, is this one right here. Oh, we built a snap kit. This kit brings me back to some great memories and nostalgia. So I had to get a few of those just to have in my collection, you know, for those nostalgic purposes. But I build them from time to time. You know, it was spray can, you know, the testers, tube glue, just a kid build, you know. It was definitely a glue bomb for sure. Unless it was a snap kit where I take it apart every week and rebuild it just because I could. And it was fun to do that, you know. And then, you know, teen years hit, and got into RC racing. That was a big thing for me. RC racing in Sacramento for Capital City RC. RC racing, 10 scale stadium trucks, buggies, and then Nitro Outlaw sprint cars in 10th scale too. So that was a big thing for me. And then the last few years of my high school, my parents, myself, my siblings moved out to Phoenix. It was as the end of the 2000s. And I still raced out there for a little bit. From there, college, and you know how it is with college girls and school and getting your career going. So yeah, everything got put on hold at that point. And then my uncle, who builds a lot of hot rods and stuff locally here in Colorado, has a lot of great friends. I was looking for something to do on the side just to make a little income coming out of college and stuff, and wanted to get back into racing. And slot cars is where it started for me. Slot cars and building the bodies for myself, taking on models, doing that. Did that for a few years, and then realized, you know, it was fun to race slot cars, but I had to drive 3-4 hours away in order to do it. So it wasn't as fun. Then I just got into building full-on blown models, and have been doing that since 2015. So 7 years now.
That's cool.
That's cool. I'm still young at age, just 32. So for me, it's nice to see a lot of the older guys giving those tips and tricks out to help us younger guys and how we can help better ourselves. It's also nice for us with the young guys, what we can do to help other people out that maybe they don't know something about how to do something. Like, you've given tips and tricks on how you do your weathering, and I have my own ways to do my weathering, but then trying your stuff, it may benefit me and make it easier for me to do other things as well. So it's always nice to put 2 and 2 together and make it easier, because who wants to really sit in weather for, 8 hours, in a few hour blocks for a week just to get your build ready to go. If you can cut some corners and it still is great, and it still is productive, and it's still show worthy, or for the people that just build for themselves, it's worthy for their case, then, by all means, want to make sure everyone, gets the techniques out there and everyone can use what they like and enjoy seeing what others do.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
But that's how it all started for me.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, you did the RC trip. So you were here in Phoenix in the late O's. You said you finished high school here.
Yep, finished high school there.
Where were you at?
I was in the West Valley over near Peoria, Glendale area.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah, I was just south of Surprise over by Lake Pleasant. That's where I was.
Okay. Yeah. You're up. Yeah, just north of the Arrowhead.
Yep.
Mall there.
Yep. And I left before the 303 became a thing.
Oh yeah. It's very different over there. I hate going over the Arrowhead area. I try to avoid it anytime I can.
But then in 2019, I actually came out for a 5-month stint in Phoenix again.
Yeah.
I didn't work. We came back to Colorado. I tried a new job out there. It just wasn't what they told me it was going to be. Mm-hmm. So I came back to Colorado, but I actually was out in the East Valley at that time. Out in the Chandler, Maricopa, Casa Grande area. So
okay. Yeah, that's not too far where BG's at.
Yeah. It's funny is Colorado is, it's a cold state, January, February are our coldest times right now. It's not even snowing half the time, which is so weird not having snow here.
Yeah.
But my other hobby is hockey. I've been playing hockey since high school. So for me, that's a big thing. And in Phoenix, played hockey out there. It was fun. Played a lot of hockey out here. Played it in college for 2 years until I got hurt and I couldn't really play competitive anymore. But then 2019 came around, tried it out in Phoenix and loved playing hockey out there at the ice den in Chandler. And, biggest thing that I always did almost every 2 weeks was go to the Hobby Depot up there off of South Mills and Southern.
Yeah.
Great guy over there. And that was unfortunately when the Model Master thing was coming about with testers and they were shutting everything down. So he had a lot of the Model Master enamels and the metallizers. And so I grabbed what I could because I'm a big enamel guy. I do use scale finishes and other base coats for lacquers and stuff, but enamel is my go-to just because it has that healing process where it helps cover some blemishes and stuff from sanding or whatnot. But for me, it's I just really enjoy the hobby, enjoy the camaraderie on YouTube and Facebook, and it's great just to talk to people and flow those ideas across the board and and ask questions and people
definitely
talking about their techniques. I've been hounding Tim over at All About the Throttle for months for him to do a few of his how-to videos, and he finally got him out last week, and so I was super thrilled to see how he did his Mexican blanket and his valves and stuff, and that was fun to see.
Yeah, so those were good. Those were good videos. I just got off the phone with him just now before we fired up.
Yeah, but it's nice when you ask somebody to do something like, "Hey, I'll just do it in a video." I'm like, "That's awesome." Visual for me is 100% better. I enjoy visuals. That's my thing.
Yeah, that's what's making this whole YouTube thing really, really take off. It's like when I first started YouTube, there was only a few model car guys, and it was all just build videos. Yeah. And I know, and I was riding on Andy's coattails. He was the one who talked me into getting and doing a model car channel, and he was all about just build videos back in those days too. And he was telling me, it's just not going to work if you don't do build videos. And it's like, I don't want to do build videos. I want to do tips. I want to bring news of what's going on in the hobby. I wanted to be Scale Auto on YouTube and report, and then do things like this. I always like the whole Unpodcast thing. That was like right from the beginning. I wanted to do things like this, and it really took off a year ago because all of you guys were getting more involved, and new guys like you coming in onto YouTube, and that's how I became friends over this past year with everybody, and I was using this show as a catalyst for it. And then we, so many of us met face to face at Atlanta, and it has really turned into a community, a really, really tight knit community.
And the community is bigger on YouTube than people realize. There's a lot out there for ours for the hobby, just the Scale Auto portion of it. They only have 30, 40, 50, maybe 200, subscribers. They do it for 5 or 6 years. That they have 100 videos, but YouTube doesn't let you see them because of I'm not sure what the analytics or whatever it is. Yeah,
exactly.
But you just gotta kind of go out there and start surfing for things, and you'll see people that have great content that just aren't coming up on your feed. Yeah, and it's unfortunate. But then once you subscribe to them, more stuff comes up. Like Fred Henry was a big one for me. I saw a view of him just doing his CUDA, and all of a sudden, after I watched his one video, a whole bunch of people I never knew existed came popping up. You popped up from me watching Dr. Cranky. I was watching one of his videos, and then I think it was the one on the weathering of that 66.
Oh yeah.
The Malibu, that one, that series that came up, and I started watching all your videos from start to finish. That's one thing I do with a lot of people I watch is I watch their videos from start to finish from like a subscriber standpoint, because you get to see how they've progressed, and a lot of things that you may have said, 2 years ago that are still relevant, like for like a tip or trick, hasn't been said in a few years. There's always stuff in these videos to watch.
Oh, I know. That's why now I'm starting to, every once in a while, I'll get someone who comments. And well, speaking of comments, real quick before I move on to that, is exactly what you said. Is it's a bigger community than you think, just the YouTube community. And it's not just the creators, content creators. Also, I have so many regular guys that I communicate with that are regular just commenters that support me by just watching my channel and commenting. And I like to interact with those guys, and they put in, I get a lot of good input from them, and they've been commenting since the beginning. And to me, that's the bigger picture of the community. But
we all have ideas and stuff as content creators, but a lot of our subscribers and stuff, they have great comments giving us more ideas to put out.
Exactly.
One of mine I had, which was awesome. I didn't think about it, and I have like 5 or 6 rebuilders here, glue bombs and stuff. And one of the guys was like, 1-to-1 cars, you always see these cars come out from, rusted up, beat up cars, and they're built back, their factory stock, they're built back to, their heyday. And he's like, we see people take out these new kits and build them. There's no rebuilders going out. So for me, I started a new one, which is Rebuilding a Rebuilder, which is starting with the 41 Plymouth I bought. I showcased what it looked like prior and how I took it apart and primer and put it back to a different way. But it's something you don't see people doing rebuilders on these content creator channels. Yeah.
That's like my this old model car show that I do. Yeah, those are a lot of fun. I've got a few that are in the works that are really, I know I love that stuff. I was saying is you're talking about going back and looking at old videos of a lot of the content creators that have been around for a while. Is I would have, and this is where the community comes in, I would have a commenter say, hey, do a video on this. And then I go, well, I did about 3 years ago. Well, you want to see it? So I'll just shut that one off and I'll bring it back. I'll recycle an old video because it's still relevant. It's still saying a tip. And if this guy who's been watching me didn't know I already did a video and would like me to, well, here you go. There it is. Yeah. As you get going, you bank a whole bunch, you have in your catalog. I've told Tim to do, I've told a lot of the other YouTubers, even Andy, start re-upping some of your old videos that don't get seen anymore, but have good content that needs to be put out there. Give new people a chance.
Yeah.
You end up doing a video that you did when you had 500 subscribers, and it was a really good video. But then when you have 20,000 subscribers, there's almost 20,000 people that might have never seen it. And that might just be me or you, where we go back and look at, the catalog of these YouTubers been out for a while, these content creators, and look at their older stuff, where some guys that are subscribers just subscribe and they just start watching from that point on forward, And so, you may only had a great video with 3 good tips and tricks that only got, 600 views 4 years ago, re-up it now, and a lot more people will see it. And it's, even stuff from the 80s and 90s that I've seen their tips and tricks are still valid today. That's 20, 30 decades, 2-3 decades ago. So, I mean, even these older, even like Detail Master and Parts by Park and Charlie over at Prototype, they've been doing this for a while, and their stuff is still as good as it was back then, if not better. And it's, if the companies can stay doing this for long, the tips will be out there just as long and making it just as good. Oh yeah, that's why I used to have so many magazines up, like mostly car magazines. I got rid of so many magazines, but I did not get rid of any of my old Scale Auto magazines. No. I still go into those and find great stuff. Or I remember there was something cool, and I'll find it. Oh, cool, there it is, and Yeah, there's tons of great information and tips in those.
And talking about the magazines, it's even cool just seeing the ones like I have one my grandfather got me. He found it at a yard sale. It's in pristine condition from 1969. It's like a Scale Auto magazine, or I don't know the Scale Auto. I can't remember. I don't have it on me. But just
car modeler, probably.
Yeah, and just reading the content back then, and how it can still, and how some of the tips and tricks I put back then can still be used today. Obviously, with different glues that we have now compared to what they had back then, but it's still relevant in a lot of ways, and it's so old, which is so cool that people can go back to these magazines and still look at stuff from decades ago, and it still can be used today in our hobby.
And it's also learn a bit about the history of the hobby. It's always fun to learn a bit about the history. That's something that I always try to bring and talk about, some of the old times and what it was like, that a lot of you guys weren't around to even see.
No.
Like what was happening. Like when I came into the hobby and really discovered Scale Auto was in the late 80s, and it was an amazing time for this hobby. Incredible. It was when it was like things were happening in the late 80s that really did take this from a toy store toy to, oh no, this is an adult thing. And the model manufacturers were noticing that, and they started producing kits that were more geared towards the adults, and things were changing.
And that was one thing too, like talking about it being for kids, because in the 2000s, you go, my grandparents, my parents, or even back before I started doing this full time, my wife to Hobby Lobby or Michael's and see them all kids and be like, oh, they're small kids, before I really got into them again. And then once I started getting into slot cars, get on Facebook and all these groups, and realizing how much of a lot of people do it, and it's actually competitive and contests, and there's build offs in these Facebook groups on YouTube. Almost every month, someone's doing a build off on a YouTube channel or whatnot, like you guys at the 40 Ford and stuff. And so it's cool seeing that. But the thing that I like the most that you've done is the going over the magazine in a video.
Yeah,
those are cool. Those are really cool.
Yeah, I definitely want to do more of that. I got some ready to go to do, because again, that's that history. Like you and Matthew had said to me, it's that history I don't have because I wasn't there. And I know there's a lot of builders that are more in your guys' age range, as I'm in my mid 50s and been doing this since the mid 80s. I'd like to share that and keep that older stuff alive. Why the heck do they call those weird shows NNLs? Well, it's an interesting story why. It's kind of very dated now, but this stuff is starting to get lost, and that was a part of my channel I wanted to bring, is my old memories and knowledge. And I'm still friends with so many of the guys that were the old guys when I was a young kid, younger than you are now, when I joined their club, and I'm still friends with them. And these guys told me how the hobby was in the 60s and 70s. And it's just, that's the only way we'll ever keep the old stuff alive, and everybody remembering.
I'm all about the history, because it tells you, why it is the way it is today. What catalyzed, to 3D printing, to resin print, to doing resin body.
Oh yeah.
Like looking over your videos with the magazines, you had to mail in order to, like, a check or a money order to get resin bodies. But you couldn't see what they were because there was a little small ad in the back of the thing. Now we have websites and Facebook groups. You can see what everyone's selling and see
exactly
before you buy it.
And that was the thing. You'd find the ad. The guy says he has resin parts for race cars and stock, street cars, and you mail it off. 3 weeks later, you get a catalog that's just a list. There's no pictures.
Yeah.
And it says what it is. I wonder if that's cool. I'll order it. You order it, and it might be cool, and it might not be cool. And and the funny thing is, like, when I got into resin casting, I got into the tail end of that's the way it was. And I put an ad in Scale Auto, and I had a catalog, and I went through the years of how it morphed into it had to be all online. Because like when I first started my first resin casting business, I didn't even have a computer.
Oh wow!
And I had to buy a computer and start getting involved and trying to put stuff online. and trying to figure out how to have a website. And now you don't even need that.
$5 a month, Shopify.com. You can get a website built for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But you don't even need, you just go on Facebook and you have a YouTube channel, and you just peddle your crap there. And that's what I'm going to do. And it's just, it was a struggle back then. And it was a little bit more taboo back then. I mean, people didn't really know much about it.
And it was the ads in the back, but also you had to put your business out there and be at the actual shows too to get your business kind of being noticed. Now with social media, you don't have to go anywhere. You can just do it out of your basement.
There's the kind of the bummer end of it though, is start for a while. I think it was internet that was killing the shows. Because people were feeling, well, why do I have to go? I can put my model on the internet, and we can do internet shows on message boards back, a few years back, and now Facebook. But now it's starting to change. The shows are coming back, and people are starting to realize how fun it is to go to the shows.
And that's actually something for me. My first show that I actually put anything in was Desert Skull Classic last year in June, which was actually a virtual show. Yeah. And so with that, I got a few awards from that, which was awesome. But, it's the pictures and stuff and how people could place their car. It was to where they may have had an issue with paint or with the glue, and you couldn't see it because they placed it just right where you didn't have to view it however you wanted to.
Yeah, you can hide a lot of things with the...
Yeah. And then in November, Hobbytown had that huge national contest. I went to that with my first actual live contest, put some model kits in there, got a few awards. But that was fun because you could talk to people right there, talk to the guys that built them and say, how did you just, what did you do? And some guys are, don't want to tell you their secrets or what they did. And a lot more guys though are open. I mean, it's the community. I mean, some people have a lot of negative things to say about the community because people don't want to tell you what they did. That's a very small.
A lot smaller. It used to be a little bigger back in the olden days, but that's one thing I noticed. Guys are so ready they want to talk about how they did it. They love it when people go, how'd you do that? Oh, let me tell you how I did it.
There was a gentleman at the Hobbytown one that I went to, and it was a front end dragster, an FEV from the 70s. And I was like, oh, what kit did you use? He's like, I didn't use a kit. He's like, I took a kit and looked at how AMT made her MPC, and he did it all with metal with brass.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So that was pretty cool seeing that. And he he made wire wheels and stuff for the front. Like, it was pretty cool. And it's just amazing to see what guys can do with brass or build a model kit of a car that was never made. And, there's a body, and now they resin cast it for everyone that never made it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's like my buddy Dave Bell. He comes up with some amazing stuff. And I used to resin cast some of his crazy things that he'd make. Really, I could never do what he did. Some of these guys that do come up with something that doesn't even exist, I'm always in awe. I have to have a kit to start off with.
And that's one thing is I've yet to see how the process happens just because I want to see how it is, but how these guys come up with a make and model of a body that never existed. There's no kit even remotely close to actually using it as a donor to even start the work. So I'm always in awe to see these guys take these bodies and make them that there's nothing comparable to even start with.
And then you find out what they did start with a body when it was nothing like that. How did you look at I knew of a guy, two different people built Ford Fairmonts. One built it starting with an early 80s El Camino.
Wow. Okay.
And the other guy built his starting with the AMT 64 GTO. Two totally different cars, and both of their Fairmonts looked fantastic. And when you look, and it's like, how did you look at the El Camino or that GTO and see the Fairmont in there? Is just, wow, what an artist!
Was it just the A pillar that started it all, or the B pillar?
Who knows, man? It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing how they come up with it. Especially the El Camino one. I could almost kind of see the GTO, almost, but I definitely don't have a brain that'll do that. I can't look at a VW Bug and be able to turn it into a Lincoln.
And
I think there's somebody out there that could.
and all those hours these guys like Dave Bell put into making these bodies and everything, and now it's a lot easier. Or maybe it's not as easy, but it seems to be a lot quicker for guys to produce bodies through CAD design and 3D printing them and stuff.
Yeah. So now that's the thing. The trick is getting these guys that are good at CAD to do the design work and punch out a body it's never been. You know, like Jim Rogers from Salvino's JR Models. You know, he was just talking about that the other day. That now lately some of the stuff he's been doing, he's actually had plans for the cars. He says those first cars that he did. You know, the old Oldsmobile, the 70s Oldsmobile and the 70s Monte Carlo. He just was looking at pictures and just started drawing on his computer. And it's wow, dude, impressed. Super impressed.
It's even impressive seeing guys your age, guys my age that have no experience doing CAD and YouTube, learning it from YouTube.
Yeah.
Getting the free versions, learning from YouTube how to do simple things.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a few guys that are now actually good at that actually do sell their parts and sell their files. Like for me, I own an actual 3D printer. I buy the files and I print them whenever I want to for all my builds. There's guys that have websites that teach people how to build. And
I've been watching those. I do. I want to try to get the programs and start trying to play with that and try to be able to do my own stuff on CAD.
One thing that I see that's really cool is some guys like Ron Olson over at 3D Model Specialties. He actually has a laser scanner that actually takes an old body from a model kit or even a sprue tree, and he scans it like what Revell does or NPC or Round 2 will do with some models these days for newer cars, and then he puts it in 12th scale and shrinks it down to 1/25th scale, and there he has a body and stuff. So and some guys are using that reverse engineering of a molded body into an actual CAD design, and then
I've been waiting for that technology to hit. So
that's cool.
That's good that he's got that. So that's expensive. That's cool that he's got that. I wish I did. I know there's a bunch of them that I would have loved to have done if I got it just scanned. But it's definitely this. I mean, this hobby is far from dying, and just amazing things are happening. And in the past couple of years, so many more people have come into adults. It's not a kids game. It is adults, and it's really been buzzing and exciting. This past year has been one of the most exciting model car years.
You're right. It's not a kids game, but going to local shows, local hobby shops, even Hobby Lobby and Michael's, having snap kits there for 12, 13, under $20 for the kids. I mean, that's still showing something out there for the kids to do. I do with my kid all the time. We go and get the Scooby-Doo one. The ones I want to do one of these snap kits with them because it's for me. I had it as a kid and I stopped it obviously with adolescence, like I said, in my teenage years in college, and I came back to it later on. So just giving them something that they enjoyed in their childhood, they can think of with me and them doing it. That's something.
100%. I definitely have always I did that with my daughter. She used to build models with me. I even ended up setting up a workbench for her in my model room, and it was daughter dad time. She always loved being in there with me. And no, she didn't become a regular model builder, but she does so many creative things because of it. And she does say that was the reason why. Now with Felix, he has a huge interest in it, but this kid has developed a love for cars, and he might turn into a car guy. And I can see him getting a little more into model building as he gets older, and then he'll probably step away from it and then come back to it when he's older, because he'll probably end up with all this crap.
That would be something cool to do. I know Chucky over at Chuck's Hobby Spot. You say it like you're from Boston.
Chuck's Hobby Spot.
Him and his grandson, some videos of him and his grandson doing some builds and stuff. It's always cool seeing these guys, these content creators, their kids, grandchildren, whatever it is, and building alongside them or building with them, being in the video. It's just showing that that yes, it's an adult thing, but kids still can do things and have fun with this. And
absolutely.
It's cool to see Felix do some builds with you in the future once he's ready to do that.
It definitely will. It's getting closer. He's probably a year away from it. He'll figure out, but I've handed him a few, built ups or even some snap kits, and he's like kind of playing with them and figuring out, but he's not quite ready to put it together. As a matter of fact, I think there's one that he is fascinated with. This is actually one that my daughter built, a little snap kit. She built this when she was probably 7 years old, and there's still a couple of them hanging around, and he can't keep his hands off this now. And it used to be up on a shelf, and he climbed up and got it. And I just let him, I go, your mommy built that. And he's like, mommy. And so he's like, I have one of these that Denise didn't build. I'm holding on to it for him. So,
and I like those type of kits, either snaps, because
they're fun.
The Rat Fink ones with the willies and Rat Fink outside with the little shifter and the motor.
Oh yeah,
cool.
Jeez, that's even from my childhood.
Yeah, those are just cool to have, and and for kids, for us, we want our models to be static. Wheels don't move, that kind of thing for us. But for kids, building it and then be able to play with it and take it apart and build it again. I mean, that's the fun in it, really.
Yeah, yeah, that's the blast with the snap kits, and I did a show a few years back where it didn't seem like nothing was happening with the kids class. So I said, I'd rather take what money we were spending on trying to have kids classes, and we did things for kids, and it was a blowout. The kids loved. We had a Hot Wheels race. They all got a Hot Wheel, and we let them, they got to pick out their Hot Wheel, brand new one in the box, pop it open. There was eliminations, and there was a first, second, and third. But then we also had a make and take. And these kids had their pick of a 57 Chevy or a Corvette. And when they were done, it was those Revell snap kits were so cool. They haven't been doing them a lot lately. And they were so durable and playable. You can roll them around, and they looked cool too.
I remember, I don't know if it was Revell or who it was, but I remember the Miller Lite funny car. It was a Corvette funny car, and it was a 1/32 scale. It was a snap kit.
Yeah.
I've seen a few of those. I can't remember what.
They were funny cars, and they did NASCARs, and I want to say it was AMT, because I remember I got a Lumina, a Pure Later Lumina for Denise. I think they were AMTs. I
love that. I know, unfortunately, a lot of the contests I see online of what the show's going to be about, you don't see a lot of stuff for kids anymore. But it's nice now seeing that they are bringing those make and takes back.
That is something that I really feel is something to bring to the model shows, because most of the builders are dads and grandpas, and they're going to bring their kids, and the kids are bored. And I say, why don't you activate the kids there and get them? And who knows what that'll turn into? Doing a make and take, playing with the Hot Wheels, gets them involved in this sport somehow. Yeah,
my kid likes to go with me to the hobby shop just because they want to, look at all the Pokemon kits that are out there.
Oh yeah.
Bandai, and then also I'll go there and I'll ask her, what kit should Daddy get, and all the model kits there for the cars, and she'll pick one and I'll grab it and I'll build it, and she won't obviously, she'll help as much as she can, but her age, the time span of them wanting to sit there and help you is only for a few minutes, and then they go and do something else, play hobbies or whatnot. So, but it's just trying to make her be a part of it, to have that, those memories like I have as my grandpa stuff,
Yeah, and they will. They will have those memories. I mean, I have a really strong memory. I really didn't get into building model cars as a kid. Built some, actually a lot of the model car things was my dad would buy. I always got a model car and a model airplane or something at Christmas, but he would build it, and then we would play with it together. And it was cool. I'd watch him build it, and then we'd play with it. But I remember him taking me into the hobby shop finally one time and let me pick out a model car, and it was a Revell 56. And like you have that one model you just showed that has a lot of memories. I found that 56 that was in that box art, just because that was the one that my dad bought me. It was really the first model car I ever really messed around with. And and I put it together and played with it till it fell apart. But
what's funny is my dad, he always talked about in his adolescent years, he did build model airplanes and stuff, but they did put the firecrackers in it, blew them up, that kind of stuff. Which for
Yeah.
me, nowadays, seeing how expensive the airplane kits are and stuff, I just couldn't come. I want to do that, but I couldn't come to terms of paying for it just to blow it up.
Yeah, I don't think that will happen these days. And I mean, there is stuff. They still are making some stuff that is geared towards kids, but it's not really the toy store thing anymore. It really developed into an adult hobby, pretty serious, and and that's not a bad thing. And like I've just always seen the future of the hobby, and what I always saw coming in were guys in their 30s and 40s were like getting into. I've just met up with so many guys, especially when I was a resin caster. That's when I really saw guys that were buying from me. It's like, yeah, that are like me. I didn't build as a kid. I started young. I built like a few months after high school. I was into cars, and I built a model of a GTO. So I just happened to be in a toy store and thought, this could be fun. I remember building a few models as a kid, and I got hooked.
And when you think about the kids, who's buying the kit for the kids? It's the grandparents, it's the parent,
Yeah.
From the end that's in, the adult's getting the kit for the kid. So it's really just a circle. Like, even for me, my father, I actually got him back into building automotive models and stuff back in 2019, actually out there in Phoenix. Me and him built a few different stuff. And now he loves watching your show, and he's on a lot of the Facebook groups and stuff. Now he's into it, and he's in his late 50s. And he's getting back to it. So so it's kind of a reverse thing where, adults get the kids into it. I got my father back into it, and he obviously is an older.
Yeah, I could see that. That is, that's pretty cool. He should come to a model meeting.
Actually, when I come out there in the springtime, I'm hoping he'll attend with me. So
that would be really cool. Yeah, definitely. He'd have a ball. It's all a bunch of old guys there. But yeah, it's just a wonderful hobby, and bringing it's a family thing. You can bring the kids into it at the shows if you have some activities for them. I really do believe that. I love it when they do make stuff like this so you can build with your kid. I know I'm going to have a fun. I got a few things set aside for when Felix gets a little older. Denise she's already done some activities like that with him and made videos on her channel.
It's fun to see that this hobby, there's nothing dull about it. There's always something new, innovative, a new company coming out with something that's a one-up, or is something brand new that no one's thought about. There's these Facebook groups at least once a week. I see something new. I'm like, oh, I gotta check that guy out, or I gotta check that company out. Something new coming over, something new. Especially we lost the model master and tester enamels. At least the half ounce jars and stuff. And then Revell came out with their enamel line finally in the US. And I was like, oh, thank you. And then we see, Mike, MCW paints.
Mike Guest.
Yeah, Guest. And then you have Jameson over at Scale Finishes, and they have both base coats and enamels. So, even though one company leaves, other companies come in and fill that void. It's awesome.
Well, that's the thing. It's like there was a time that there was just testers, and I don't know if you remember Pactra.
Yeah, I don't remember, but I've seen the bottles.
Yeah, there was Pactra, which it was almost the same stuff, but that's all you had. And now you have so many different companies doing different kinds of paints. You have Ammo by MIG, and you have Vallejo and
all these ones.
Oh god, there's so many of them.
Even I've heard of Flow Quill.
I remember them from years ago. And it's funny, you go into Andy's hobby headquarters, he's got a whole section in his store that's about the size of my room here, and it's nothing but paints. Yeah. So it's like different companies.
It's unfortunate when companies leave the industry, but the hobby shops still stay open, and they have these open, stands and whatnot that they can't use them as displays. And so for me, I actually went and got a Mall Master display from my local hobby shop here. I put my spray cans in, my Mall Master paints and stuff. So it's nice to have something like nostalgia saying, I got the paints and I have. Yeah,
that I know. Andy offered me one, and it's like, I just don't have a place to put it. And I really would like to have had it, but oh god, where did I put it?
And the Arizona heat in the garage doesn't do anything good, you know. So.
No. I have all my rattle cans and stuff. They're in the garage in a cabinet. I have a cabinet for it, but it's such a pain to, they're stacked behind one another, and I pull them out, and you see that little blob that comes out where it just went straight to hell, and it's like, well, that one's done. Never even opened it.
I remember you doing a video in your garage with the 2K clear, and it was a hot day. And I was like, wow, the 2K actually can live up in Arizona heat in a garage.
I'm real surprised about it.
Cool.
Still haven't used it, though. I got to use it. Jeez. But but then I found a lot of other stuff that didn't make it.
One thing that I find, which is awesome, is, people having their Holy Grail kit. A lot of guys have Holy Grail kits from a kit from the 50s. I know I saw a lot of guys in comments. Their Holy Grail kit was the one that the Scale Model Experiment did on the 40 Ford build. That one from, I think it was from the 60s.
It was one of the first issues of the 40 Ford.
People were like, I can see in the comments, it's my Holy Grail kit, awesome. And some people were against building it, and some people wanted to build it because they're meant to be built, But for people my age, which is cool, is me coming in and now into it, and as old as I am, my Holy Grail kit is a kit that I can easily find most of the time, which they came in 2 iterations for it, but mine I like the flat box version, and it's one that actually the Scale Model Experiment did as well, that you put in one of your the club meets. I think it was last week, and it's that 49 Merc. So
yeah.
It's the flat box. It's the long box. I don't see them often, but it's so cool that Revell kind of came back with a flat box they haven't done in years, and now all of a sudden you see them coming out with the the Bronco with the trailer and stuff. And
I want that. I want one of those. I don't really care about the Bronco or the trailer. I want that freaking little dune buggy, because I have wanted that dune buggy for a long time. You just reminded me before. I totally forgot about that. Old friend of mine from years ago here locally, he did one, brought it to a show, and it was so cool. Jim Wood was his name. He passed away a couple of years ago. He was like the big model car guy here in town when I came into the hobby and first joined the club back in the late 80s. And that guy, I'd go into his model room and, oh, whoa. And he's one of the reasons why this is this way. But he built one years ago, and I've wanted to get that kit, and then they come out with it. So I gotta land one of those. So I'm gonna build one of those little sand dune things.
So once I'm done my 41 rebuilder, I actually want to start that build as a segment video. But I'm not going to use the actual stock Bronco that comes in that kit. I actually use the Baja Bronco, and actually I'll have a 3D printed lift kit for it, make it more of that Bronco being an actual, can go out in the hills and the sands and do just as much damage as that sand dune buggy.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
It'd be kind of cool to do.
Yeah, that would definitely be cool. Yeah, that's those Bronco kits. That was now a Bronco. Those Broncos, for years I was trying to figure out a way to get a hold of one, get one in resin, get one of those toys from years ago and try to cast it to be able to build a model, which they weren't quite correct in scale. I have wanted to build a model of one of those Broncos forever. And when Revell came out with that a few years ago, I was like, ooh, but I knew, that was back, when Hobbyco still had Revell, remember? They would come out with a kit that we've all been waiting to happen, like the notchback Mustang and, all these other things. It's like, but wait, don't buy this one, because the next one's going to be cooler. They would always do a version that has all the race car crap in it or other stuff. And lo and behold, I held off on that Bronco, and I knew it. And they put out that Baja Bronco.
And here's the exact same thing with the Revell Bronco. We got 3 iterations of it in a span of 2 years. We got the stock one, we got the Baja, and we get this one with the sand dune. Trailer. So they're also putting different iterations of it, which is pretty cool.
So, and I haven't built one yet, and I've been waiting for years for that kit. And
from the model, from your video with BG this past week, you have a list you're writing down, put on your list,
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And then you're talking about your flat box 49 Merc. I remember when that came out, and I got it, and I was ticked off that it was a flat box, because at that time, the way my stash was set up, I didn't have a place for it, and I actually sold it because of that, because they were coming out with the coming with a regular box. Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to get rid of this. I'll buy one of those. And I never did. And then I picked one up at a swap meet, luckily, because I missed out on it. I'm like, wait, they're not around anymore. I found one for a good deal of swap meet.
So we have a lot of guys that buy a single kit and build it. And we have a lot of guys that buy 5 or 6 of the same kit. Have many ideas, just like you and me. You have, doubles, triples, quadruples, the same kit. This 4N Merc, I have 8. And
really?
Each of them is a different idea. I have 4 that are in the normal size box and then 4 that are in the flat box. And yes, these flat boxes were definitely a pit in my stomach because they wouldn't fit anywhere. And if they did, they took up the room that 4 other kits could for one.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like now, though, because I got really heavy into Tamiya kits, I now created a place it wouldn't be a problem now because I have a flat box stash.
Well, and I started getting a lot of other flat box American-made kits too, like the Corvettes from. I think it was Revell Corvettes, the 60s ones that came in the flat boxes, the touring ones. I have those and other flat ones, but James Tester, talking back and forth with him about some of his awesome new kits or his Yoshimura kits, and those ones that have the anime and stuff on them, and even the ones that are the BMW M3. I grabbed some of those. Those are kind of hot cakes on eBay and Facebook groups. So you find the right price, you don't want to pass it up. And so I had to make room for these flat box kits, which I know with James, he's starting a model build off here, or a kit build on his Facebook group starting February. And I actually have that the AMG kit.
The AMG from Mercedes. Yeah.
So what's cool is I'm actually going to do a different take. I'm actually going to take 2 different Tamiya kit decals and make it work on this, since he's allowing anyone to do whatever they want to do for decals. So
that's cool.
Didn't like what was out there for decals for the specific kit, so I'm gonna make something of my own and get a different take. Definitely a paint scheme and stuff that's never been seen on an AMG GT3 before, but it'll be a cool take to see how.
Yeah, well, I love doing fantasy race cars. I love coming up with my own paint scheme and stuff. That's always fun.
And this one's going to be like a 90s theme too. It's going to be kind of cool.
Oh, that'll be cool. I'll be watching. I don't know if I'm going to get in. It's a kit. I don't have it. I wouldn't mind building it, but I just made a list for the year, and I just might not be able to squeeze it in. The other flat box, do you remember they did the Gremlin? They came out with that Gremlin. They put it out in a flat box. And I bought the Gremlin, and I sold it because it was in a flat box, because they were coming out with a regular size box. And then that's another one. I never went and replaced it. And it's like, oh, man, I lost out on that Gremlin. I got to get one of those one of these days. And I don't know why. It's not like I need any kits, but.
And that's one thing for me is I'll buy kits, and I'll buy them and have this idea for them and put them away. And then a different kit comes out that I want to build more, that I have a bigger idea for. And so for me, it's not just about I have my stash and I have my collection. My collection are kits I know I'll never build. They're kits that are true dearly to me, or kits that I feel are way too expensive to build. And then there's the stash. The stash, like BG, like he said, the stash is always available to be bought and sold. You buy stuff for the stash, you sell the stash, and you get more stuff that you want to build. So it's always a fun thing is I have my collection and I have my stash.
I have there's every once in a while I have bought stuff that I don't intend to build. But over the years, when I bought them when they weren't a lot of money, but then they become so valuable and rare. And there's other options now, certain things. I've got a ton of kits that ended up becoming, they're not in view, but they're the ones that are in my beginning for Model Car Hobby headquarters, that everybody always go, hey, you want to sell that? You want to sell that? That stuff ain't for sale, buds. But those are the ones that I don't touch. I kind of am. Yeah, I probably won't ever build any of those.
I had a few kits that I owned.
The museum.
I had a few kits that I owned, and I actually sold them, and they were I believe it was the NPC, and it was the year date cars. I forget what they call them exactly, but it's one that came out the actual year the car was.
Oh yeah, the annual kit.
The annuals. Yeah. I had a few of those, and actually I bought them at a swap meet for, $20-$30. Guy was selling them. It seemed like, he was just selling them to sell them. And so I grabbed a few because they were kind of cool. And, then on Facebook, and these guys were selling them for several $100s. And I'm like, I have this kit I probably will never build. It's a cool box art, but I can sell it and then get 6 kits that I actually do want to build.
Yeah.
So that's where I kind of play is I buy it and I'm like, it's for my stash or for my collection. But then you see how expensive it gets. It's like, well, that's a $200 kit. And I want 4 kits that equals $200. You know, I don't have 4 more kits in my stash than this one that I'll never build. Get someone else who wants to build it or wants to have it in their collection, and I'll take that money and put it to good use for, you know, other kits I want to build. So
yeah, I wish
that's
I could
really something.
I wish I could do that, but once they come in here, I can't let it go. And I am such, and I've said it a million times, everybody knows it, but I am just such a box art fiend that I do have some kits in my collection that I had never had an interest in. As a matter of fact, I have a couple kits that they're horrible kits, but I wanted them for the box art, like my Heller Porsche 917K. I will never build that pile of crap, but the box art is so cool, and it looks really cool on my wall. I even have it up. It's like not in the collection. It's a flat box, but I have it sitting on the wall like this, like it's a picture, because the box art was just so cool looking. I got no interest in building it. I got a nice Fujimi one in here, so I'll build
and that's across the board for a lot of hobbies. You know, people that do game, that retro gaming, nostalgia gaming and stuff. The game could be crap, but the box art is so cool. It makes it worth all the money for some reason.
Oh yeah.
And for us, you know, there are definitely a lot of NPC kits. You know, a lot of people have names for that acronym that definitely means sometimes what that kid actually is going to be. but box art is worth the $20-$30 you find at the swap meet, because the box art it's something you'll see all the time. It's
absolutely
cool.
Yeah, I have gotten, and I've even bought some kits that the box is in great shape and the kit might be started, or it's built up in there that I have up there that is a classic kit. And you know, I got it on the cheap because the kit inside isn't in such good condition, so I don't care. I wanted the box art.
And that's me. A lot of the Johan kits, you know, the Marlin, the Javelin. I love those kits, but they're hard to find, you know, sealed or still complete in the box, factory sealed, or even just complete in the box. A lot of times you'll find them as glue bombs or parts missing. And for me, you know, I just want the box, honestly. I could care less what's inside of it. The box is really cool for me.
Yeah, so. I got my eye on a Johan that Andy still kept out of that one stash that the car isn't complete. It's not all there. And I was like, well, he's keeping it for the museum he's going to do. But it's like, really cool. Yeah, but whenever you want to sell that, I want that thing. I just want it. I don't want the kit. I don't care about the kit. I want that box art. It's just one of them box arts that mean a lot to me.
That was one thing I appreciated about you doing, was the videos for that stash, because there are a lot of kits I never knew existed. Yeah. And they were so cool. And I showed the videos to my dad. My dad came out there, I think a week after you had the videos, and he grabbed a few of the kits for me that I was like, hey, I want it for the box art.
Oh, cool. He did? Right on.
Yeah, he grabbed a few and stuff. And I know you help. I know that I deal with a few of the guys in your club that help other people out that or from different states, you know. You in Georgia, Fred, you know, in Georgia, everyone that saw the videos like, we want this. And unfortunately, Andy, you know, wouldn't ship, but luckily all you guys are there in Phoenix were willing to help out and help us get the kits we needed, which were so cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Something from Andy's, you know, like I got something from Andy's. It's kind of cool.
That's cool. At the actual store. Yeah, it's just people don't realize it's such a hassle and liability for him to a collection like that, and he just doesn't have the time to sell from his store, because the warehouse and and his online store is really a separate entity altogether, and they're not connected in that way. So when you buy from his website, you're not getting anything from the store.
Yeah. And I was surprised to see how quickly almost all those models went pretty quickly that he got. That was
lightning speed.
Still full. All the boxes everywhere. That he had the 3 for 50 and right in front by the cash register. I got a few of those. And then my dad went back a week later, and those were all gone. I'm like, oh man.
Oh yeah, they were. He put those out. He was constantly, you know, and I was going over there a lot, helping him, and I was figuring stuff out as he was putting stuff out, and I would gather what would be sold in this section, and that what was it, the 3 for 50 section that he had. I was finding more of those, and I'd get a whole box together. He'd come walking back there. All right, I got to fill some holes. Well, there's another box right over there filled with those type of models. So
And
yeah, he was constantly recycling. It was flying out of the
it was
store.
even cool finding some Jimmy Flints on some resin bodies that I've been looking for that he had there, and I was like, cool, gotta get those, you know.
Yeah. Oh, cool. You got some of those Jimmy Flintstones?
Yeah.
I remember sifting through those things.
I got a few of the 49 chopped Fords. I have some ideas for those. I have a few of those kits. So I want to do one that's like a nostalgia gas, and then do one that's more like a pro touring dance chop. So definitely
very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I remember I had my hands on those. So yeah, really there cool. You got something I touched. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Well, why don't you go over what your channel is and where they could find you? And that's all you got going right now, or is there anything else you're doing that you want to plug?
So right now I'm just doing my YouTube videos. The Mile High Scale Modeler, you can find it right here.
Good job. You got the magic. You could do it. Do it again.
I'm saying when I come out there in the spring, if you and BJ are doing a video, it'd be kind of cool to.
Oh no! If you're here, you gotta come on the show. Absolutely. Oh, there's no question about that.
But yeah, so Mile High Scale Modeler is my channel. It's all about kit reviews, tips, and tricks. I will be doing build videos, but like Luca, build videos with a lot of tips and tricks in between. I just started I think it's called Building a Rebuilder. It's a 41 Plymouth that I bought that definitely needed some work done to it. So I taking that apart, rebuilding it. It's actually gonna be a curbside, which is pretty cool. A quick build to get me kind of back into the sense of building from coming back from the virus and stuff. So it's kind of cool to get that going. But honestly, just want to be being part of the community and just kind of showing what I've learned and things that I may have learned from other YouTubers or guys that aren't as pronounced in the community. And obviously giving the recognition that is deserved for the stuff that I give out as well. If I do a tip or trick, definitely put their name up, their YouTube channel out on my description as well, so people can find the actual video and obviously subscribe to them as well. Like you said, YouTube, subscribing, liking, all that stuff is free. So it's just getting everyone to see what's out there for everyone to learn and stuff. That's the big thing behind it for me. So definitely not just a build video channel like some guys are, which is cool. Like I said, we're a big community. We're all wanting to learn from each other and just keep the hobby going as much as we can.
Keeping a hobby going. That's what it's all about. And that's what we do. And we also do something else. And you got to know what's up next then.
I do.
We got to close this baby out. But before we do, I'll let you think about it and get prepared how you're going to screw it up just like everybody else. I want to thank you so much, Brandon, for not only coming on the show here today, but I want to thank you personally of how much you've been a support on this channel. Being a producer, you've been you were like one of the early ones. You were one of the first, and you jumped on Patreon, and it means a ton to me. And every time I would say, "What do you think?" and you're one of the more vocal ones that tell me, and you weren't scared to tell me, dude, that's kind of not really, and it's been very helpful. So for that, you're definitely a good friend of mine because of it. I appreciate it. I could see that you cared and you wanted to help my channel grow. So I want to thank you for that.
And it's even fun now is that me and we can throw ideas off each other, especially in that YouTube group for content creators. And it's like, and like you said, no one's rivals. We're all community. A single viewer can watch all of us at any time. There's no need to have to be channel surfing to get the views and stuff. And so it's nice to throw ideas off each other. Like, Mark Batson, the 44 build, awesome thing to do. Everyone's kind of into it. And I hope if we do another one in the future, I can actually have the time and be ready to do that. Because unfortunately, this time you guys got started when I was just getting into YouTube again. But
let me tell you, man, plan on it because we're going to probably have another one that will go off on September. I think that's going to be an annual thing. Everybody kind of really liked it and said, yeah, let's do this every year. Yeah, that'll be really cool. But, I'll tell you what. I thanked you. You thanked me. We're all thanked out. So why don't you go ahead and close this thing on out?
All right, let's do it. So
let's see how it goes.
Keep gluing those fingers together and keep cutting that styrene. And Luca will see you in the next video.
Absolutely. Oh, you're taking BG's spot. Right. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys later.